Okay, so we have some trouble getting our greetings straight at this time of the year. Shortly before and all during Rosh Hashanah, we can easily say Shana Tova, have a good year. Or we can even say Shana Tova Umetuka, have a good and a sweet year. That's kind of riffing on the honey and apples that are so closely connected with Rosh Hashanah. It's always appropriate to say L'shana Tovah Tikateivu, all during the Rosh Hashanah period. May you be written in the book of life for a good year. But now, as we approach Yom Kippur, the traditional greetings change. Now you would say to someone, L'shana Tovah Tikateivu V'techa Temu. Lachtom in Hebrew means to seal, and the idea is may you be written and sealed, permanently sealed in the book of life for a good year. And when we actually get to Yom Kippur, the traditional greeting is Gamar Tov. May you have a good sealing. The end of it all should be good for you. Gamar Tov. Or you could say Gamar Chatima Tova, which is the complete phrase, Gamar Chatima Tova, have a great sealing. May you be sealed in the book of life for a good year. And of course, when you're speaking with people during the breaks on Yom Kippur, you would say to someone, Tzom Kal. Tzom Kal, have an easy fast. Tzom Kal. So since Kol Nidre, the opening evening service of Yom Kippur, will take place on Tuesday evening, October 8th, we currently are in Aseret Yemei Tshuva, the 10 days of repentance, beginning with Rosh Hashanah. The 10th day is actually Yom Kippur. So the traditional greeting, as I said, is L'shana Tova Tikateivu V'techa Temu. May you be written and sealed in the book of life for a good year. But let me give you a little bit of a hint just between the two of us. No matter what phase of the 10 days of repentance we're in, if you say to someone, Shana Tova, have a good year, that's acceptable, it's familiar, and it works. And to make it even better, a warm handshake or a respectful hug would make the whole thing even better. Okay, our Sedra is Vayelech. Vayelech, which comprises all of one chapter, chapter 31 of the book of Deuteronomy. That's it, just 30 verses. This is the shortest Torah portion of the year. Yay! Yep. During most years, this portion is read together with last week's portion, but that didn't happen for various reasons this year. So it's a standalone, which promises that Saturday morning services between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur will be much shorter than usual. Don't tell anyone that I told you that, or that the length matters to you. Of course, the length doesn't. We should know that this unique Shabbat is called Shabbat Shuvah. Shabbat Shuvah, the Sabbath of return, the Sabbath of repentance. The name Shabbat Shuvah is actually taken from the first word of the special Haftarah, which is read this Saturday morning, Hosea chapter 14, beginning with verse 2, which says, Shuvah Yisrael ad Adonai Elohecha. Return, O Israel, to the Lord your God. So that's the first word of the Haftarah, Shabbat Shuvah. Hosea adds after this, take with you words when you appear before God. That is really important. Perfect fit, right? Don't worry about bringing sacrifices, Hosea said, because what God really wants on Yom Kippur is words hayotziim min halev, words that come out directly from your heart, words that flow from deep within, that reflect confession regret, repentance. These are the best gifts to be presented before God on Yom Kippur, to the Sedra. Moses' last day is rapidly coming to an end. He has, in fact, according to the text, only a few hours left. What would you do in such a situation? What would you say? There were yet doors to be shut and doors to be open. For example, big thing, there are, according to tradition, 613 mitzvot in the Torah, 613 commandments. But also, according to tradition, up until this moment, only 612 had been relayed from God through Moses to the people. Moses got them, hasn't shared them, 40 years, one commandment left. So we find the following in verse 19 of our short Sedra. Therefore, write down this poem and teach it to the children of Israel. But the Hebrew is far more explicit than this lovely translation. Kitvu lachem, the Hebrew says. Write down for yourselves, each of you, each of us. Rambam, Maimonides, later explicitly states that this is a straightforward statement, that it is a mitzvah for each one of us personally to write or to commission a new Sefer Torah. That's the 613th commandment. The last commandment in the Torah is therefore to keep Torah alive, not as an artifact, not as a museum piece. Each of us should take it on as a personal religious obligation to keep the Torah fresh and alive in the hearts and in the deeds of the Jewish people. Think back with me now. Here comes a brief test. What is the very first mitzvah in the Torah? Correct. Peru Vu, be fruitful and multiply, book of Genesis. Now, think of these two mitzvot as kind of like sacred bookends. The first mitzvah in the Torah is telling us that we must build Judaism around the family of Israel. Peru Vu, be fruitful, multiply. We need a physical family. We are a physical people intended to be the teachers of Torah to a troubled world. That's who we are. That's why we are. We must therefore preserve our physical existence by having children and grandchildren. Yes, of course, but that's not the only way. Because Judaism has always viewed those who are taught by us as equivalent to being our own natural-born children. You don't have to have children to have spiritual offspring. Each and every one of us must find a way that they can preserve our physical survival as a people. Peru Vu. That's number one. And going ahead now to our Sedra, number 613. Each one of us now must be responsible for owning Torah. Well, how? By writing a scroll, or by commissioning a scroll, or by establishing schools within which the scroll comes alive for children as well as for adults. This is going to be hard. We preserve Torah by becoming Torah. When we act in such a way that honors our sacred teachings, we metaphorically become a Sefer Torah, a Torah scroll. When our daily lives at home, at work, at play, we represent Torah's most precious values, then all those who know us can encounter living Torah whenever they meet us. You see what I mean by In this chapter, doors are open and doors are closed. Moses has yet more finishing up to do. He calls Joshua to his side and says to him, Chazak ve'amatz. You were one of the two spies, Joshua, who had faith that God could and would bring us into Canaan. You were firm and resolute then. You must be more firm and resolute now. You are taking over. These people, Joshua, will never be easy to lead. Understatement. Going ahead. The moment I die, Moses said, they will refuse to enter the land. They will come up with thousands of excuses by why doing what is right is too difficult for them. And Joshua, they're going to forget their past. They will forget the vision of a mission that they had acquired at Mount Sinai. They will forget who and what they were meant to be. So Joshua, Chazak v'yamatz, be strong and of good courage. Moses understood that people must never be allowed to forget where they came from. They must never be allowed to lay down their mission, to set aside the promises that surrounded them at their birth. Hear this. Only when you forget that you are special will you ever become not special. Only when you forget that you're special will you ever become not special. Joshua, don't let that happen. And one last message. Moses warns the people in God's name. Don't expect a world of miracles. That's not what life is all about. Ha'olam kamin hagohalech. The world proceeds on its own natural path. Its natural order will not be altered. It will often seem to you, God said, that I am hidden from you. But I've given you choices. And all choices carry outcomes. The world you meet will be the world you design. For better and for worse, God says, become Torah. And then you will meet God everywhere. Shabbat Shuvah, this Shabbat. The mitzvah to create a Torah. The mitzvah to preserve the Jewish people. The mitzvah to follow leaders who have earned and who have deserved our trust. And so I say to you, what am I going to say? L'shana Tovah Tikateivu v'techateimu. May you, we, all of us, be written in the book of life and sealed in the book of life for a good year. And more importantly, Shabbat Shalom.